Now, what is happening with the Brisbane Broncos? They seemed last year probably should have won a grand final, and then they turn it around this year and put in a performance as they have. Now, we've seen them in interviews the last few weeks and have been surprised with how confident they are, thinking they were just going to make the finals. And then all of a sudden, bang, they've got a right hook, they've been dropped, and they're out. How do we explain why the Broncos, Gordy, I'll come to you because you're a Broncos legend, why are they going so bad and why are they where they are right now?
It's $1 million question. I think there's a lot of things, right? I think the grand final hangover, I think it's real. I think it's a shortened pre-season. I think Vegas going over there with a short pre-season, I think they thought it'd be about 4 to 6 weeks and then they got the injuries. It's only 5 games this year that Carrigan, Haas, Reynolds, Mam and Walsh have been on the field together. So throw all that in, and then that's not an excuse. And I think that the defence on the weekend's attitude, right? So I went to training on Friday. It was like a semi-final, maybe grand final for us, like the amount of people that go there. I always say the more you get pat on the back, the softer you become. So when they do lose games, they've still got the fan base. Maybe the players do believe that. I think it's back to hard work.
Is it an attitude and ego thing? I mean,
that's what I wrote this morning. I think it comes back to attitude, ego, grand final hangover. This side achieved more than...
I think it's a bit of everything.
Put it this way, I don't want to blame Kevin Walters. This is the 3rd out of 4 years they're going to miss out in the finals. So there's a problem there.
So I know you're mates with him, Gordy, right? But you don't want to blame Kevy. But and I love Kevy too. But I was looking at the record and they've come 14th, 9th with Kevy there. Then they made the GF and now they're going to miss the finals again. Now, they've got a good roster up there. I know they're young, but they've got a good roster. So if Kevy's not to blame, who's to blame?
Well, don't forget, when Kevy first took over, he inherited a mess. They were coming off a wooden spoon, so you can cop the first year where they finished 14th, and he had to overhaul the roster, that to clean a lot of blokes out. I think they've made some errors in terms of their recruitment and their retention, letting Flegler go and also Farnworth go.
Yeah, but how do they keep them, Jimmy? They can't. They've got Walsh, Cobbo, Haas, Carrigan, Reynolds, Ezra Mass. But it's not an error. The cap would not allow them to keep them.
They could have let some of the other young blokes go.
Oh.
Flegler and Farnworth are rep players.
But this isn't an excuse, Hoops. This is a decision that they've made as a club.
It is.
And the coach and recruitment, they all make those decisions.
Yeah. I think the team's lacking leadership. So I watch them closely. I go there, I sit there with my family, and when the chips were down, on Saturday, someone needed to stand and put a stake in the ground and say,
what about Reynolds? He's a leader?
Well, he didn't do it. And in the grand final, he failed to get him home as well. And that's what they paid him to do. So if he's the captain, like there's something where, and he's not doing it, there might be a chance where you put Carrigan there, right?
But does Adam Reynolds' body, the condition he's in right now at 34 years of age, allow him to produce the leadership you want? And that was the big turmoil at South.
Well, it's about putting your ego in your pocket because Alan Langer left to go to England. They put me as captain. When he come back, Alf was the captain. He goes, no, you're our leader. Because Alf probably didn't think that he could have done what he did, but I lent on him so heavily. But, like, under the pump, on that game, if I'm playing with Alan Langer and he's captain, he gets out from dummy half. He does those 3 or 4 tackles in a row. He looks at us and he challenges. And it's just his look. There's none of that happening. There's the Lazarus just looking at us or doing that charge. And maybe just a change with the C beside their name?
When you've got a team that on paper, and you look at the program on Saturday afternoon, and I guarantee you, if we put dollar figures on every player in the park, the Broncos would be $2 million minimum worth more on paper.
Then what?
Than Canterbury. On Saturday. They would be, mate. There's no. Well, what I'm saying.
It can't be because everybody. No, because the minimum.
It's got something to do with the energy meter.
No, it's got nothing to do with it. You look at the side. They're on paper.
The minimum spend would be. It's very close to the same, so it can't be $2 million.
Well, look, Crichton was out for them.
So what's your beef with Reynolds, though, Buzz? Because
what's my beef with Reynolds?
This is his 3rd year there now. He took them to a grand final last year. They were within.
Well, Gordy, why are you turning to me? Gordy's the one who said they lack leadership.
I've got an issue. I thought you said I've got an issue with Reynolds.
I've got an issue with Reynolds in that I'm not sure he should have been extended for next year as well. And if they weren't doing the next year deal, which You know, I'm not sure his body can cope with. Maybe they could have kept Farnworth. Maybe they could have kept Flegler, and you know.
Carrigan's been skipper for half this year anyway because Reynolds has been missing. Did they extend him? Can
It
you
was
remember
attitude
before
on Saturday. Why I mentioned the prices to these teams? It was attitude, nothing else.
And coaches can get the blame, right? Coaches can, and they will, and they do because it's easy to move coaches. Let me tell you something. That's what you're supposed to pack. So when you play for the Dogs, there was an attitude that you're expected to bring to the games. That's all they're bringing. That's not. And people go, "Oh, it's Cameron Serrato." No, it's not. It's the players putting their attitude in and
But
going.
what I was trying to explain, what's Payne Haas worth compared to Sam Hughes?
You know,
What's
I get your
Patrick
point, Buzz.
Carrigan
It's cool.
worth
I get you.
compared
I
to
know.
Kurt Mann?
Well, you're still looking for the right bow. I get your point.
Mate, the
We
right
get
bow
you.
was played 5 minutes ago, you goose.
Yeah, mate, but
I was asleep waiting for it.
No, you
I was
were just-
asleep waiting for it to come out.
You were just too slow.
Okay, so what is Kickow worth to Jordan Ricky? What is
Yeah, but
Crichton
that's
worth
what I'm
compared
saying.
to
It was
Mariner?
all about
What is
attitude.
Josh
On paper, they're a
Addo-Carr?
better
What is
side.
Josh Addo-Carr compared to that? There's flaws
Can we
in that
move on
argument.
from this argument? It's,
What, the salary cap or the metre? Or
Yeah.
whatever you're talking about.
What does Reid Marnie worth
Is
compared to their hook?
Kevy getting enough support, or is Kevy going to bring? What's going to happen there? Because there's going to be a change in the coaching staff anyway, right?
Yeah, you're right, Braith. There's going to be some changes. John Cartwright's going over to England. Lee Briers, I think, is also returning back to the UK. Buzz wrote Sunday, Trent Barrett will be coming in as one of Kevy's new assistants, and I think they're also looking at bringing Ben Teo in, who won a premiership with the Bunnies 2014 and has been back up there. I think he's coaching with the Dolphins at the moment.
Yeah, and there was a belief, I think there was the World Cup, then they went to the grand final, and they just haven't had the real tough, hard pre-season. Like they've had two relatively soft pre-seasons.
The Roosters went to Vegas too, mate, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying...
I was there.
Yeah, it was
But they haven't had all the injuries.
Geez, you blokes in a good
No,
mood
no,
tonight.
no,
seriously.
no.
Mate, all I'm trying to say is...
If they're top five, right, top five players only played 5 games this year, Roosters will be in the same position. And you cannot tell me that they wouldn't be.
Well, the Roosters...
Because that's what the
How
salary
long's
cap's
Joey
doing.
Manu
There's
been
only a
out
top
for,
35.
You know? Swaley here, mate, everyone gets injuries. Everyone gets rep and origin commitments. It all comes back to the fact they are not turning up to play football each week.
I usually would agree with you there, Gordy, and I'm not saying you're entirely wrong, but you watch that game on the weekend, and you can't give them any excuse for that.
No, you can't.
You can't. So
You can't. 41
So
points.
you can't say, if they had certain players in here, there, or they'd be higher up, because from what they showed on the weekend, you can't say that. You just can't. They are so far off the mark. And what surprises me is this, heading into this game, how there is a level of, well, there's confidence, right, but there was a level of arrogance. You know, it was like they were just thinking,
Waiting for someone.
They thought it was just going to happen.
Hey, Gordy, I didn't think I'd ever see it, but I saw footage of Broncos fans walking out on that team at half-time. And, mate, that tells you that the attitude's not there, and they're not going to sit there all afternoon for a team that ain't having a dig.
There was a Bulldogs chant
That's hard
that
to
went
argue
up in the last 15 minutes of the game. You could hear the Bulldogs
There's
chant
a lot of
at
doggies chanting.
Suncorp Stadium, but there were still some moments of individual brilliance. I mean, Katoni Staggs, he's tried as hard as he can to drag them out of the trouble that they were in.
His defence was pretty poor, though.
Reece Walsh was similar.
41-16, mate. 41-16.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's acceptable, but I'm just saying they had plenty of blokes who
Mate,
were
listen, he's on the bus.
He's on the choo-choo train, aren't you?